Hi guys, it's Andrea Tooley. I have a video for you today about setbacks and hardships. I get quite a few people emailing me like multiple times a week asking about kind of how to push through hard times or how to deal with setbacks or when things kind of don't go as you planned. And I know in one of my videos I've talked about kind of what to do if you've gotten a bad grade or kind of how to move forward from that. But I thought I would share two personal stories about times in my pre-med and medical journey that things haven't really worked out the way I intended, and kind of how I kept going through that. You know, this is a really difficult process, and it's a really long road to medical school, and things are bound to not work out as you intend. People don't always get into medical school the first time they apply. People don't get a great score on the MCAT the first time they take it, things like that. And so I think a lot of it's just perseverance and kind of moving forward, even if the road's not always a very smooth road. So my first setback where I really struggled was in high school. I really wanted to go to Notre Dame for college. It was like my dream school. I was going to high school in Indiana, even though I grew up in Florida. And I went to Notre Dame for a summer camp and just loved it. And I wanted a small school, and I loved the feel of it. I loved the tradition. I loved the academic rigor of the school and kind of the prestige. And so it was just like my total dream school. And I felt like I had a decent chance of getting in. You know, I had a really good SAT and ACT score and whatever. I did go to a really small high school, so I didn't take APs or anything like that. But anyways, long story short, I got waitlisted, and then that year they never opened the wait list, and so I didn't get in. And I remember the day my senior year of high school when I found out that they weren't going to open the wait list, because I was still pretty confident that even though I was waitlisted, that I would be like one of the first couple people on the wait list to get in. Maybe that was just my wishful thinking. But anyways, when I found out they weren't going to open the wait list, I was just destroyed. I mean, it was like the worst thing that could have ever happened. It was the only college I wanted to go to, and I hadn't even really looked at other schools or explored other options. And so I just thought my whole life was over. And how it turned out is that I got a scholarship in Indiana for only Indiana state schools. And so I had applied to a few other schools out of state, but besides Notre Dame, the only school I applied to in Indiana was Butler. And I knew nothing about Butler. It was like my total backup school. I hadn't even read about it. I didn't know anything about it. And because I didn't want to waste that scholarship, it was like I defaulted into going to Butler. It was the only school I could go to, and I cried the whole way there for early registration. I was just so devastated. I didn't want to go on a tour. I was so mad, and I didn't even want to like it. I was just so upset. It was like, it was such a hard time. And thinking back, I was 18, and it seems like that's your whole world. But as it turns out, Butler was amazing. I absolutely adored my experience there. It was the perfect university for me. And now that I think about it, I don't even know if Notre Dame would have been the right place for me. And so I think that if you're going through something like that, you just need to trust that the way things work out is the way that it's supposed to be, and it's going to work out in your favor in the end, even if you can't see the end and you can't see past this gigantic setback. It ends up working out, and it really did for me. I wouldn't trade my experience at Butler for anything, and I wouldn't go to Notre Dame if I could do it all over again. So that was my first really huge, oh man, I was so sad. So that was one. And then the second time, this wasn't really a setback, but I went through a really hard time during my second year of medical school. And I think that if you talk to a lot of people in medical school, they've gone through similar experiences to this. Med school is really tough. It kind of takes everything from you. It takes your personal life. It takes your confidence. It's so humbling because it's so hard. It takes your sleep and, just everything. And it's really hard to kind of keep pushing through that. So I did really well my first year, and I was all like jazzed up and excited for med school. And so first year wasn't so bad because I was just so excited to be there and to be studying and, whatever. And then second semester, first year was kind of more of the same. I still did pretty well and I didn't struggle and, things were good. And then second year, like the novelty had worn off and I was kind of overstudying, and second year is a really rough year. And at the end of second year is when you take your boards. You take step 1 of the USMLE, which is, many would argue, the most important test you'll take in your entire life. And I think maybe that's true because your score on step 1 ultimately dictates the specialty that you'll be eligible to apply to. So if you don't do well on step 1 and you really want to do plastic surgery, then you're kind of stuck. And I knew I wanted to do ophthalmology, which is fairly competitive. And so there was a lot of weight on my step 1 score so that I would be able to do ophthalmology. So you have this huge pressure kind of hanging over you all of second year, hanging in the back of your mind that at the end of the year you have to take this test. And the winter between first semester and second semester of second year in Indiana was brutal. It was like the iciest, coldest, most awful winter. And I was living in the basement of my house because I owned a house with 3 bedrooms and I had the chance to rent out all 3 of the bedrooms upstairs, and I didn't want to pass up the extra money. And so I moved into this like hole in my unfinished basement. It was awful, and it was cold and dark, and I was studying so hard, and I was miserable, literally miserable. And it was a really hard time. I just kind of lost sight of myself, and I struggled, it was not fun at all. And, everybody gets through it. Everybody, I think, experiences these kinds of lulls. And luckily, I had an amazing family there to support me. And I had friends in medical school to support me. And I had a really good medical school that would reach out if you were having a hard time. And, it never got super serious. I wasn't in a deep, dark depression. But I was really, it was a dark time just for my general happy persona. I'm generally pretty light and happy. And I was not happy during that period. So, really, I guess the moral of this story is that everybody goes through hard times, and it's not rainbows and butterflies 24/7, even though I'd like to think that it could be. And, people struggle. You don't always get what you want. But I think in the end, if you can just remember what it's all about and kind of keep pushing through those dark times and lean on the support of your friends and family, and then ultimately take care of yourself and give yourself a break and tell yourself it's okay to not be happy and it's okay to struggle, then you'll get through it. So if any of you are struggling, I feel your pain. I've so been there, and I promise you it gets better. And I'm in a great place today, so all is well. Hope you're having a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.